At 75, I made a discovery that changed everything about how I approach my daily routine. For years, I'd been taking what I thought were harmless afternoon naps, sometimes just 30 minutes, other days stretching to 2 hours or more. I assumed these naps were helping me recover energy, giving my aging body the rest it needed. After all, isn't that what we're told? Listen to your body, they say. Rest when you're tired. But what I didn't realize was that these seemingly innocent naps were silently damaging my brain, disrupting critical hormones, and potentially shortening my life by years. The most alarming part? Doctors rarely mention these risks to patients over 65, even though the scientific evidence has been mounting for decades. In this video, I'm going to reveal 7 disturbing ways daytime sleeping affects adults between 65 and 80, effects that go far beyond just feeling groggy when you wake up. From accelerated cognitive decline to dangerous nighttime insomnia patterns that can trigger heart problems, these napping risks are something every senior needs to understand before their next afternoon rest. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which types of naps are most harmful, how to tell if your napping habit is already affecting your health, and the simple alternatives I discovered that give you energy without the hidden dangers. These strategies help me regain mental clarity and actually sleep better at night than I had in years. Stay with me until the end because the 7th risk I'll share is something researchers only recently discovered, and it affects women over 70 differently than men. This particular danger can accelerate memory loss by up to 40% faster than normal aging, yet almost no doctors warn their elderly patients about it. And I'll share the 3-question self-assessment that helped me realize my own napping habit had become dangerous rather than helpful. Now let's get started with the first disturbing effect of daytime sleeping after 65. The first and most immediate danger of daytime napping isn't what happens during your nap. It's what happens when you try to sleep that night. When I was 72, I noticed a troubling pattern. I'd feel tired around 2 p.m., take what I thought was a quick nap, and then find myself wide awake at 1 a.m., staring at the ceiling, unable to fall back asleep. What I didn't understand then was that after 65, our sleep architecture changes dramatically. The brain's ability to regulate sleep cycles weakens, making us much more vulnerable to disruptions. Each time you fall asleep during the day, you're depleting what sleep specialists call your sleep pressure, the natural buildup of compounds in your brain that make you feel sleepy. Take Sarah and Robert, both 73. Sarah avoided daytime naps completely. She sometimes felt tired in the afternoons, but pushed through with gentle activities. Robert, however, napped for about an hour most days. At night, Sarah typically slept a solid 7 hours without interruption. Robert, he'd fall asleep easily but wake around 2 a.m., spending hours in bed frustrated and anxious. This fragmented sleep isn't just annoying, it creates a dangerous cycle. Poor nighttime sleep makes you more tired the next day, which makes you more likely to nap, which further disrupts your nighttime sleep. And for seniors, breaking this cycle becomes increasingly difficult with each passing year. When I stopped my afternoon naps, the first improvement I noticed was falling asleep more easily at night. Within just a week, I was sleeping through until morning for the first time in years. My sleep quality tracker showed I was getting nearly 45 minutes more deep sleep each night, the kind that actually restores your brain and body. The second disturbing effect of regular daytime napping affects something we all fear losing as we age: our mental sharpness. For years, I assumed afternoon naps were helping me reset my brain. In reality, they were potentially accelerating cognitive decline. A landmark study followed over 1,000 adults aged 65 to 85 for 6 years, tracking their napping habits and cognitive function. The results were shocking. Those who regularly napped for more than an hour showed a 40% faster rate of cognitive decline compared to non-nappers. The study controlled for nighttime sleep quality, existing health conditions, and medication use, meaning the napping itself appeared to be the problem. Consider Margaret, a 68-year-old retired teacher who prided herself on her sharp memory and quick wit. She began taking daily 90-minute naps after lunch. Within 2 years, her family noticed she struggled more with remembering recent conversations and seemed less engaged in her book club discussions. Her doctor found no medical explanation for these changes. When Margaret reduced her napping to just 20 minutes 3 times weekly, family members reported she seemed more like her old self within a month. Dr. Elena Martinez, a neurologist specializing in aging, explains, extended daytime sleep appears to reduce the brain's neuroplasticity, its ability to form new connections and maintain existing ones. In the aging brain, which is already experiencing natural decline, this additional burden can manifest as noticeable cognitive deterioration. When I cut out my own afternoon naps, I experienced something remarkable. Within just 3 weeks, I found myself recalling names more easily, finishing the daily crossword puzzle faster, and feeling mentally sharper during evening activities. The brain fog I had attributed to just getting older wasn't inevitable at all. The third danger of daytime sleeping after 65 directly affects your heart health, something I learned the hard way when my doctor noticed concerning changes in my blood pressure patterns. Research published in the Journal of American Heart Association found that regular nappers over 65 had a 19% higher risk of cardiovascular events compared to those who didn't nap. For those napping more than 90 minutes, that risk jumped to 32%. What makes napping particularly dangerous for older hearts? It's about disruption of your circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock. Your blood pressure, heart rate, and even blood clotting factors all follow natural patterns throughout the day. When you interrupt these patterns with daytime sleep, it forces your cardiovascular system to adjust rapidly upon waking. This is particularly problematic for seniors because our blood vessels lose elasticity as we age. These sudden adjustments can cause dangerous spikes in blood pressure that put stress on already stiffening arteries. Frank, a 77-year-old former accountant, napped every afternoon for about 2 hours. His blood pressure readings at doctor's appointments always looked normal. But when his doctor suggested 24-hour monitoring, they discovered something concerning. Frank's blood pressure would spike dramatically right after his naps, reaching levels that put him at high risk for stroke. These spikes weren't being caught during his regular checkups. I experienced something similar myself. After eliminating my afternoon naps, my evening blood pressure readings dropped by an average of 7 points, enough to reduce my stroke risk significantly. My doctor was surprised that such a simple change could have such a meaningful impact. For seniors already managing heart conditions or taking blood pressure medications, these nap-induced fluctuations can be even more dangerous, potentially counteracting the effects of prescribed treatments. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. The fourth disturbing effect of daytime napping after 65 involves your body's ability to regulate blood sugar, an already challenging process as we age. When I was diagnosed as pre-diabetic at 74, my doctor asked about many lifestyle factors, but never once questioned my napping habits. Yet recent research suggests he should have. A study from the University of Tokyo found that naps longer than 40 minutes were associated with a 45% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes in adults over 65. The connection? Afternoon naps disrupt insulin sensitivity patterns. Your body's insulin response naturally varies throughout the day, and unplanned sleep can throw these patterns into chaos. When you wake from a longer nap, your body often experiences a temporary state similar to insulin resistance, exactly what those of us over 65 don't need, as our natural insulin sensitivity is already declining with age. Consider 2 friends, Harold and James, both 72, with similar diets and activity levels. Harold took daily 2-hour naps, while James preferred brief 15-minute rest periods without sleeping. Despite nearly identical lifestyles otherwise, Harold's blood glucose readings were consistently higher, particularly after dinner. When Harold's doctor convinced him to replace his long naps with light activity, his fasting glucose improved within just 3 weeks. Dr. Raymond Chun, an endocrinologist who specializes in geriatric diabetes, explains extended daytime sleeping essentially confuses the body's metabolic timing. For seniors already at higher risk for metabolic disorders, these disruptions can push borderline blood sugar issues into clinical diabetes. I experienced this myself. After eliminating my afternoon naps, my fasting blood sugar dropped by 12 points within a month, enough to move me from the pre-diabetic category back to normal range. My doctor was surprised, as I hadn't made any other significant lifestyle changes during that time. The fifth disturbing effect of daytime napping relates to something many of us struggle with after 65: inflammation and pain. What I didn't realize was that my afternoon naps might actually have been making my joint pain worse. Research from the University of California found that fragmented sleep patterns, exactly what regular daytime napping creates, increase inflammatory markers in older adults. Specifically, they found elevated levels of interleukin-6 and C-reactive protein, two compounds directly linked to arthritis pain, muscle soreness, and general inflammation. This creates a cruel cycle. You experience pain, which makes you feel tired, so you take a nap. The nap disrupts your sleep cycle, which increases inflammation, which worsens your pain, and the cycle continues. Elizabeth, a 76-year-old with rheumatoid arthritis, noticed this pattern. She tracked her pain levels for a month and found they were consistently worse on days following afternoon naps. When she worked with her doctor to develop a no-nap routine, her morning stiffness and overall pain levels improved significantly. Dr. Sarah Josephs, a rheumatologist specializing in elderly care, explains sleep fragmentation disrupts the body's natural anti-inflammatory processes. For seniors already dealing with inflammatory conditions, adding this disruption can noticeably intensify symptoms. I experienced this improvement myself. The persistent shoulder pain I had attributed to just getting older decreased significantly after I stopped napping. Within 3 weeks, I found I could reach overhead shelves with less discomfort, and my morning stiffness had decreased by about half. The anti-inflammatory medication I occasionally took became rarely necessary. The sixth concerning effect of regular daytime sleeping affects your daily functioning and safety in ways I never anticipated. While I thought my afternoon naps were helping me feel more alert, research suggests they were likely doing the opposite. Scientists call it sleep inertia, the period of grogginess and impaired cognitive function that follows awakening from sleep. For younger adults, this typically lasts 15 to 30 minutes. But studies show that in adults over 65, sleep inertia from afternoon naps can last significantly longer, sometimes up to 2 to 3 hours, and its effects are more severe. This means that after a nap, your reaction time, decision-making ability, and cognitive processing remain impaired far longer than you might realize. For seniors, this impairment can have serious consequences. Take Walter, a 78-year-old who prided himself on his driving skills. After his typical afternoon nap, he would often drive to his evening activities. One evening, he nearly caused an accident when he failed to notice a stop sign, something completely out of character for him. When his doctor suggested eliminating his afternoon nap on days he needed to drive, Walter noticed a dramatic improvement in his alertness and confidence behind the wheel. Dr. Kenneth Rivera, a neurologist who studies sleep patterns in older adults, explains the aging brain takes longer to transition between sleep and wakefulness. This extended period of sleep inertia creates a window of impairment that many seniors don't recognize in themselves, but that can affect everything from fall risk to driving safety. I noticed this myself after stopping my napping habit. Tasks that I would normally avoid in the late afternoon or early evening, like balancing my checkbook or making important phone calls, suddenly seemed manageable. I realized I had been unconsciously limiting my productive hours because of the lingering effects of my naps. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. The seventh and perhaps most concerning effect of daytime napping is one that research has only recently uncovered, and it affects women over 70 differently than men. This discovery was particularly alarming to me as a woman in my 70s who had been napping regularly for years. A study from the Sleep Research Society found that women over 70 who napped regularly for more than an hour showed significantly faster rates of hippocampal atrophy, shrinkage in the part of the brain crucial for forming new memories, compared to men of the same age with identical napping habits. The researchers believe this gender difference relates to how sleep affects the regulation of certain hormones that protect brain tissue. For postmenopausal women, these protective effects are already diminished, and disrupted sleep patterns appear to accelerate the decline. Consider two sisters, Marion and Jean, both 73. They shared similar genetics, diets, and exercise habits. Marion napped for about 90 minutes daily, while Jean avoided naps entirely. After a 5-year period, cognitive testing showed Marion had experienced memory decline at nearly twice the rate of her sister, despite having no other risk factors for cognitive impairment. Dr. Elisa Chong, a neuroscientist specializing in gender differences in brain aging, explains, "While we once thought napping was neutral or even beneficial, we now understand that for older women specifically, extended daytime sleeping appears to accelerate age-related changes in memory-critical brain regions. The effect is subtle at first, but compounds over time." When I learned about this research, I immediately thought about the memory changes I had been experiencing and dismissing as normal aging. After eliminating my napping habit, I was surprised to find that within just 2 months, I was recalling names, dates, and details more easily than I had in years. The mental sharpness I thought I'd lost forever began returning gradually, but noticeably. Here's the 3-question self-assessment I mentioned earlier that helped me recognize my napping had become problematic. Do you find it harder to fall asleep at night on days when you nap? Do you feel groggy or disoriented for more than 15 minutes after waking from a nap? Have you increased your napping duration or frequency over the past year? If you answered yes to 2 or more of these questions, your napping pattern may be causing more harm than good. Now that we've covered these 7 disturbing effects of daytime sleeping after 65, you might be wondering what alternatives exist for managing the fatigue that naturally comes with aging. This was my biggest concern too. I didn't want to feel exhausted all day, but I also didn't want the negative effects of napping. Here are the 4 strategies that worked best for me. First, I implemented what sleep specialists call controlled rest periods. Instead of lying down and falling asleep, I would sit comfortably in a chair with my eyes closed for just 10 to 15 minutes. The key difference, I would focus on my breathing and stay conscious, similar to meditation. This provided the mental refresh without disrupting my sleep cycles. Second, I discovered the power of timed light exposure. When I felt the afternoon slump coming on, I would step outside for 10 to 15 minutes of natural sunlight or sit near a bright window. Research shows this helps reset your circadian rhythm and boosts alertness naturally. Third, I replaced my nap time with gentle movement, usually a 10-minute walk around the neighborhood or simple stretching exercises. This increased circulation and oxygen flow proved more energizing than napping had ever been, without the negative aftereffects. Finally, I adjusted my eating patterns to avoid the heavy lunches that were triggering my afternoon sluggishness. Smaller meals with protein and fewer carbohydrates helped maintain steady energy throughout the day. These simple changes not only eliminated my need for naps, but actually gave me more consistent energy than I had experienced in years. My evenings became more active and productive, and I began sleeping better at night than I had in decades. I should clarify that not all napping is harmful for everyone over 65. There are specific situations where short, properly timed naps can be appropriate. If you're recovering from illness or surgery, additional rest, including daytime sleep, may be necessary for healing. In these cases, work with your healthcare provider to develop a sleep schedule that supports recovery without disrupting your overall patterns. If you experience significant sleep loss for a specific reason, like a night of insomnia or necessary early morning activity. A single recovery nap of 20 to 30 minutes before 2 p.m. can help restore alertness without significantly impacting your next night's sleep. Some medications can cause extreme daytime fatigue that may necessitate rest periods. If you're experiencing this side effect, talk to your doctor about adjusting dosages or timing, rather than automatically resorting to lengthy naps. The key differences between harmful napping patterns and beneficial rest are duration, timing, and frequency. If you do need to nap, research suggests following these guidelines. Keep naps to 20 to 30 minutes maximum to avoid entering deep sleep stages that cause sleep inertia. Schedule any naps before 2 p.m. to minimize their impact on nighttime sleep. Avoid napping daily. Instead, use them strategically only when truly necessary. Pay attention to how you feel at bedtime on days you nap. If you notice increased difficulty falling asleep, that's a clear sign your daytime sleep is disrupting your natural cycles. When I first decided to eliminate my afternoon naps at age 75, I won't pretend it was easy. The first week was particularly challenging. Around 2 p.m. each day, my body and brain would send strong signals that was time to sleep. I felt irritable, foggy, and sometimes even physically uncomfortable. But I committed to trying the alternatives I mentioned for at least 2 weeks before making any judgment. By the third day, I noticed I was falling asleep more quickly at night. By the end of the first week, I was sleeping more deeply according to my sleep tracker. The most remarkable changes came during the second week. I noticed my thinking was clearer in the evenings. I had more energy for cooking dinner and evening activities with friends. The morning stiffness in my joints had noticeably decreased. By the 1-month mark, friends began commenting that I seemed more engaged in conversations, quicker with responses, and generally more energetic. My doctor was surprised to see improvements in my blood pressure and blood sugar at my next checkup. What amazed me most was discovering that what I had attributed to just getting older, the afternoon fatigue, the evening brain fog, the fragmented sleep, wasn't inevitable at all. By respecting my body's natural rhythms rather than interrupting them with naps, I was actually feeling younger and more energetic than I had in years. Now, at 78, I can't imagine returning to my napping habit. The improvements in my quality of life, from cognitive function to physical comfort, have been too significant to ignore. After learning about these 7 disturbing effects of daytime sleeping after 65, you might be feeling concerned, especially if napping has become part of your daily routine. But I want to emphasize that the body's remarkable ability to adapt and heal extends well into our later years. The changes I experienced after eliminating my napping habit weren't just noticeable, they were transformative. Better sleep at night, improved memory and thinking, reduced pain and inflammation, more consistent energy throughout the day. These benefits didn't take months or years to appear. Many became evident within just weeks. This doesn't mean you should never rest or take a short nap again. Rather, it's about understanding that what we've often accepted as helpful or harmless might actually be undermining our health and longevity in ways science is only beginning to fully comprehend. The goal isn't just to live longer, it's to maintain our independence, mental sharpness, and quality of life for as many years as possible. By making informed choices about something as seemingly innocent as afternoon naps, we can significantly impact how we experience our senior years. As we age, we can't control everything about our health. But this is one area where knowledge truly is power, where small, deliberate changes to daily habits can yield profound improvements in how we feel and function. Thank you for joining me today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below sharing one thing you learned from this video and how you plan to apply it in your life. Has this changed how you think about your own resting habits? Do you have questions about the alternatives I've suggested? Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement to continue creating content that makes a difference in people's lives. If you found this information valuable, please like, subscribe, and share this video with someone you care about who might benefit from it. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. In our next video, we'll be discussing the surprising foods that can either accelerate or slow down brain aging after 65, including one common breakfast item that researchers now believe may be linked to faster cognitive decline. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.